Okay. Thank you, Celine. Thank you very much. Now, as a commented, I would like to make a quite quick comment and question to Celine. Then simultaneously, the floor is already there, is open now, but already we received a couple questions. Uh, First, I would like to make a very quick question. My question is quite focused on the one issue, which is the so-called Europe EU dimension. Of course, obviously, the one of the reasons why we have to highlight the European dimension is because of the kind of the limit of the resources France encountered in this region, partly because of tyranny, so-called tyranny of distance. Nevertheless, the France also is willing to be more engaged in this region. Therefore, the gap between the ambition and the limitation has been emerging. So, in order to compensate for this kind of a gap, I think one of the method is to just work together with other European partners to beef up your resources. On the other hand, of course, obviously, there is a problem of the highlight that, the carrying out so-called European dimension, because for several reasons, obviously, first, when we talk about Europe, there are several kind of framework, one of which is European Union. But European Union does not necessarily have a direct competence over the military and the security. So therefore, whenever European players to work with together on the security issue, which framework to be used is always an issue. When you talk about kind of how to deal with for instance, Ukraine. Rather, you chose the kind of framework so-called the like-minded countries instead of European Union. Of course, and all the other issues that you have lots of kind of discrepancy in the views on many issues, such as like how to deal with kind of the United States. And the definition of strategic autonomy is also different amongst the member states as well. And also there are some difference in view on the specific projects, such as the development project of the next generation fighter jet. As you know, that at this moment there is some difficult issue between the Germany and France on the so-called FCAS project. That seems like the German is interested in joining our project, so-called SCAP. I don't know whether this is feasible or not. So in this sense, as I said, that there seems to be some complication about feasibility of so-called European dimension. So I would like to seek for you about how to overcome this the difficult aspect of the European dimension when France would like to further engage in this region. This is my comment question. And we already have received at least 3 questions, so we can we can also include these questions as the one that you can address. Can you see these 3 questions in your chat box? First question is kind of a relationship between the kind of reduction or cut the 20% by 20% of sovereignty forces, and whether that is related, derived from the kind of fiscal consolidation of French government. As you know, that the French government has been suffering from the kind of the fiscal restraint. So whether this kind of 20% the cut has to do with fiscal consolidation or the budgetary limitation. This is the first question. The second question is about kind of as you have presented like, for instance, look at the most of the overseas territories in the Pacific are focused on this, concentrated on rather southern Pacific, not northern Pacific. The New Caledonia and the French the Polynesia, all of them are just concentrated on southern part of the Pacific Ocean. So, of course, it makes sense to us that you have been engaged in that southern part of the Pacific Ocean. However, that how much you are willing to, ready to be engaged in the security matter in the other, the more northern part of because the southern part is a little bit distant from Japan. So how because of this, how much Japan and France can cooperate together on security matters. So this is the second question. The third question is about Taiwan. Obviously, we expected that somebody would raise this question. Particularly this question highlighted President Macron's remarks in 2023 that Europe should not follow the United States on the Taiwan issue. Yeah, that's true that it has been widely reported in Japan. So whether everybody in Tokyo is quite curious about how much priority that Paris would like to put in the case of the Taiwan contingency. So this is a third question. So far, we have received these three questions plus mine. So of course, the audience can continue to add your question, but maybe first, Celine, you could address this question. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much for the very good and difficult question as well. I think how we coordinate at the European dimension is also a question for Europeans as well, as you know. So I think that we should look at multi-layered kind of engagement. Of course, the EU will be the key player for trade cooperations and investment in infrastructure with the global gateway and so on. Now the EU is also developing its security dimensions, is more and more geopolitical actors. In the Indo-Pacific, it holds holding several programs like EZIWA, which is building security cooperation also with Japan on cyber threats or disinformation, hybrid threat, maritime security, anti-terrorism issue, and so on. Now, as you know, there's a lot of investment to build the European defense industry as well, and there is some funding schemes that are open to partners of the EU that has signed a security and defense partnership, and Japan is one of them. So I believe this can be an opportunity for joint development in defense industry with France or other European countries. Now, regarding defense and military, bilateral level is still the way to go. I think it will be the most easiest way. But as you rightly pointed out, there is a tension still between the dimensions of cooperation among European countries and a dimension of competition. So when we go to the Indo-Pacific, we also trying to support our export, our industry. So we do have this kind of dimensions of competition. So what we need to do is try to build on our cohesion and our unity as much as possible to wait in the region. So multi-layer kind of engagement, I think, is the way to go. We did not mention NATO, but there is also this scheme of NATO AP4 cooperation in which the Europeans and and the AP4, including Japan, Australia, South Korea, and New Zealand, are also consulting and working together. So that would be the my answer to your questions regarding territories of France that are like southern part of the Pacific. Yeah, also an Indian Ocean. So I think this is not, I do not see that as a challenging issue, because we have a lot of deployment, and we deploy a lot to Northeast Asia as well. And there's some deployment also from the overseas territories of France, but also from mainland France. As I explained, annually we go to the South China Sea. We are holding exercise with Japan, be it on Japanese territory, but also we've seen some joint drill with Japanese forces in New Caledonia. So I don't see that as a challenge for our cooperation. France is still part also of the UN command for Korea, so we have access also to bases in the region, especially in Japan, to foster our presence and what we can do in the region. Regarding Taiwan and the remarks by President Macron back in 2023. Yeah, it was actually this quite an issue, because it could fuel the perception that France was not interested in Taiwan, which is actually not the case at all. So, and actually at the same time that President Macron made this remark, a French frigate was sailing into the Taiwan Strait. So that's a good, I think, example of what kind of confusing mixed signal several players can send. But I think it was quite clumsy remarks, so to say, from the president at that time, and that it was afterwards misinterpreted, but it actually gave a lot of work to our diplomats and experts to explain that the position of France regarding Taiwan has not changed. And that we are still advocating for, stability in the Taiwan Strait, and opposing any use of force or use of coercion in the strait.
Do you want to make some do you want to answer a little bit to the first question, which is kind of a budgetary restraint, French budgetary restraint, and cut of the part.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot this one. Yeah. It was for budgetary cut for fiscal reasons, indeed. So at that time, during this period, there was not so much awareness about the kind of imminent threats or risk for their territory. So the policy was to keep the force as restrained as possible, so the minimal forces posture kind of view. But this trend has been reversed since. So we see more investment in defense and more investment in the modernized capacities for our overseas territories.
Okay, thank you very much. Time is running out. Already we passed the 9 o'clock, but we have received one additional question from the audience, which is quite interesting and important. So I would like you to address this question as well, which is the kind of relationship between the kind of right-leaning trend in European politics, including France itself, and kind of possible change of the position by France and Europe as a whole toward the Indo-Pacific region, whether that the political trend has an impact onto the French and European Indo-Pacific strategy. This is the fourth question, if you have any things to say.
Yeah, this is very complicated questions because even here in France, if in the case of the far right coming into power, we do not have a very clear idea of what would be a foreign policy by the far right. So that's a key issue. But this said, I think that the basics will remain. Our territories in the region will remain. Our interdependence in terms of economy, trade, and sea lanes of communication will remain. So for those reasons, I do not see a big, change, turning point in our engagement in the Indo-Pacific, because there's very basic interest and interdependence will stay.
Okay, thank you very much, Celine. At least we have found from the remarks that there seemed to be some misunderstanding between France and Japan, and miscommunication, misperception, but seems like we have a lot of common agendas, common goals, so to speak. Therefore, I hope that today's BBL has made some contribution to the kind of our effort of overcoming misperception and the miscommunication bilaterally. Thank you, Celine. Okay, so this is time to close. It's a time to close the seminar. Thank you, everybody, for your participation in our BBL seminar today. This concludes today's seminar. Thank you.
Thank you very much.